Good afternoon, everybody, or depending on what time you are watching this video. This is Jeff Raskin, and I have my illustrious partner here. We have Mr. Jake Youngs himself. So we are, yay, right, yeah. We are at, what episode are we in our podcast series?
I lost track.
Yeah,
I stopped counting.
So did I, right? So anyway, we have a lot. Go watch them. They'll all help you, I promise you. So some good stuff. Today, we are actually going to be talking about the member benefits of the different entities that we belong to. And a lot of people, because I've done this in many of my classes, and I say, hey, by the way, I'm going to give you, I think I put a $20 bill down for people who can tell me what each of the entities give us as a member benefit. And then the bigger thing is, who does what? And I have to tell you, Jake, in all the years I've been doing this, I have not had one person take my $20 bill. And
Yikes.
It's fresh and clean,
Yikes.
And I'm happy to do it, right? There are no trick questions. It's very factual, like what does who and who does what and who gives you what, and it's kind of cool. So that's what we're going to go over here today.
As long as we're not talking about who does who, that's a good. We're going to keep it PG.
We're going to keep it PG today because we all know, never mind, we won't talk about that. So let's go ahead and kind of start out at the top, which would be our national association, and then we'll go to our state association, and then we'll go to our local association, and then we'll talk about MLS. So I think there's going to be, and we might have to split it up in a two-part series, but there's going to be basically 4 entities, and there's a couple of more out there. Of course, there's ADRE, but ADRE doesn't give us any benefits other than we hold a license and we're able to sell real estate. But other than that, these are the other, I'm gonna say these are the optional entities out there and what member benefits they give. Because remember, just want to remind our audience of this one, that ADRE gives us the ability to go in and sell real estate.
Yes.
You do not need to belong to anything else. Well, you do have to belong to a broker, right? You have to join as a broker. And at this point in time, although there's a bill in our state, House, and Senate, but right now, if you're a Realtor member, you have to hang your license with a broker who's a Realtor member. And if you decide not to be a Realtor member, which is okay, you just need to make sure that you would hang your license with a non-Realtor member. It has to be all in line.
Which, by the way, crazy enough, can include the ADRE. You're going to be inactive, but it does include the ADRE.
And correct.
Yes.
Correct. So I just want to let you know that.
So here's the mind-blowing thing, just thinking out loud. To that point of what Jeff was just saying a moment ago, the vast majority of realtors, number one, have not looked at the Code of Ethics anytime recently, so they have no idea what the Code of Ethics are, but that's a different story.
Even though it's due every 3 years.
I thought it was 4. No, I'm kidding. I know it's every 3. Here's a mind-blowing thing, guys. If you haven't looked at the NAR's website, assuming you are a Realtor member, you really don't know what you're missing out on, because when you go to nar.realtor for the very first time, you look at the surface level of the website and you look at this and say, this is the most boring website I've ever seen in my existence. Yeah. But when you start to dig into the NAR's website and you realize all the different benefits and things that are buried in the nooks and crannies of that website, it's actually incredible how much stuff you have access to. And I think one of the most important ones is actually one of Jeff's favorite ones and one of my favorite ones. One of the reasons why I stay with the NAR, even through all the huff and puff that we've had over the last couple of years, yes, is the RPR. So the RPR is the Realtors Property Resource, and a mind-blowing statistic about that is that only 47% of all realtors have ever even touched the RPR.
It's a disgusting statistic.
Yeah, much less even know what it is.
Correct.
Jeff, tell us a little bit about the RPR and what this thing does.
Yeah, so Realtors Property Resource, as you mentioned, is an NAR member benefit. So I want to remind you that this has every property in the United States, and I'm talking about residential and commercial. So we're talking about hundreds of millions of different properties out there that we have access to. And when I mean access to it, we can see a ton of information. And you're like, well, I could always go to one of the big, public-facing portals out there, and I could go ahead and look at it through a Zillow, a Redfin, a Homes.com, and a Realtor.com. Why shouldn't I just do it there? And you have to remember, this is all of those portals that I just mentioned on steroids.
It's like, where do you think they're getting their data from, guys?
Yeah. They're all getting it from us. And so what's happening is that RPR is way more than just giving the property. It's way more than just giving an AVM, right? And
it does have an RVM.
It has an RVM.
Which is very similar to an AVM.
So they coined that phrase, a realtor valuation model. And what it does is it takes our hyper-local information from our local MLS, about 520 plus MLSs in the United States, and it takes that, if your MLS has allowed them to collect that data, and it puts it into that RVM instead of a public model that gives you some sort of valuation of it. It gives you the RVM, as you mentioned. Okay. But it goes way beyond that. It talks about foreclosures. It talks about, oh my gosh, the statistics of the zip code of the property. And when I mean statistics, it talks about the education level of the people there. I don't even know why you would want to know that. But it gives that to you. You can find out if people are dumb or not in a zip code, just to let you know. It talks about how many people have kids, don't get into fair housing. It talks about how many people are married and divorced and occupations. Did you know that it even talks about how the people in that zip code have voted for the President of the United States?
This is all census data, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
Like this is data you could get from public-facing websites, but the way that it's presented in the RPR is so much easier to get access to. Plus the fact that you can just create a report on this so easily. I think, I don't mean to steer you in a different direction here, but I think within the RPR, the most powerful tool that nobody knows exists has to be that darn map on that website. That is by far and above the best tool the RPR has.
Well, they have something called the driving distance, which, by the way, I've never seen on any other website out there. And you could say, hey, I'm going to live here, or I work here, and I want to be 10 miles, or I want to be 10 minutes from my work, and if I leave at 7 o'clock in the morning, it will give you those information. So a lot of things with RPR. So one of the member benefits of NAR is going to be RPR, Realtors Property Resource. Go check it out. And I have a video. We have a video of it, so you can go ahead and check that out there. And if I'm not mistaken, it also gives CE credit, does it not?
Yes, we do have a CE credit video. We still need to record it, but we do have a CE credit class on the RPR, which is actually pretty incredible when you think about it. Now, here's the thing, guys. There's a lot of software and benefits and things that we pay for. And the thing that blows my mind about the RPR as well is just the fact that all of us are paying for it, but less than half of us are putting this piece of software to use.
Correct.
So come and learn from us about it. Come and take another class from us or study it in our Agent Ignite series, but we'll digress on that and get into the next one.
Good.
So this next thing that we want to talk about is something that you can get from the NAR, but also most local realtor associations like We Serve, Scottsdale area, Phoenix Realtors, just to name a few examples here in the Phoenix area. Jeff, what is this that I'm talking about?
Okay, well, hold on. Should we stick on the national level and then go into that state and then local level?
Yep, that's what I'm focusing on. I'm just saying most local associations will have these as well.
Okay, so let's go into the discounts that they offer. So we're going to start off with the NAR. And in the NAR website, as Jake was talking about before, I think I'm going to go over to yours, and because you had it pulled up as well.
Yeah.
And so in here, I just want to let you know that they have so many different things. And what I mean by this is they have cars you could buy at a discount. There's electronics you could buy at a discount. And when I mean cars, everybody, I'm not just like, whatever. They have Mercedes.
Yeah.
They have Mercedes, which is kind of crazy there. They have travel discounts, insurance discounts. There's really a lot of different discounts that just people don't know about. So highly, highly recommend you do that. You mentioned one that you belong to, and that's going to be the travel club, right?
Well, I don't belong to the travel club per se, but it is one of my favorite benefits that we get from the NAR. The travel club is one of those things that you're going to benefit from if you're one of those realtors that's a little bit later on in life that intends on doing a lot of traveling and sipping margaritas in Tahiti or whatever tropical island you prefer. That's going to benefit you a little bit more. But one of the things that I use the ever-living snot out of is those rental cars that we get discounts on for the NAR. So you can go to, let me see, what are all the different companies that you can go to get rental cars from? Let me see here. You can go to Avis, Budget, Hertz, Sixt, all those different websites or all those different vendors for rental cars, and you can get discounts on those rental cars, no matter where you go. So every time I go on vacation, I always make sure to go and book through one of these suppliers because I can get that discount. Yes, it may only be like a couple of bucks worth of a discount, but at the end of the day, in the economy we're in right now,
something is better than nothing.
Yeah, a couple bucks is a couple of bucks, know, especially when we're paying for it. If I can save $500 a year worth of rental car fees, then it pays for my NAR membership.
And it's funny, I'm not joking. I actually just rented from Sixt, and I've never even heard of them before. And I'm looking at the website,
Yikes.
and actually I didn't know that, and it was pretty expensive. And knowing that I could have got a discount on it, gosh darn it. So yeah, make sure you go into the NAR.realtor, everybody, and make sure you look at the discounts there. So that's another thing you can do.
Well, right now Jeff is seeing that 25% off
I know.
Sixt cars.
And I just can't believe I didn't utilize it because I rented a van for a week for everybody, and it was expensive. So 25% off would have helped me out a lot. So gosh darn it.
Yeah.
And then I also see cruises.
Yeah. This travel club, which you can find this at nartravelclub.com. You can get discounts on resorts, hotels, vacation certificates, and cruises, as well as I believe they have their own rental car discounts through this website as well. There is a cost to join this separate from the regular NAR, just like any other travel club that you want to go and be a part of. But you can also get discounts on different tours and activities. They have additional car rentals, flights. You can get tickets for like Disneyland, for example. Actually, if you're looking to save a bundle on going to Disneyland, this website has some pretty good tickets to go to Disneyland. So definitely check it out.
The other thing that I'm going to recommend coming from our national association is to look at the designations and the certifications. Now, I know a lot of people out there say, well, you know what? The public has no idea what GRI, ABR, C2EX, and all the other bunch of different definitions.
So you have to
designations
educate them.
out there. Well, you can educate them is one thing, but I think the bottom line that I really want to say here is that regardless of whether the public knows what an e-pro is, and you truly got the education there to make yourself a better agent. And I'm being dead serious on this one because I have to tell you, when I got my GRI, 17 years ago, it was the best education that I could have had at that time, and I have to tell you, I'm definitely a different agent because of it.
It is an expensive designation to go and get.
It can be a little bit more expensive, but considering that college is a lot more than that one.
Yes.
Right? And by the way, they're all scholarships for GRI. I just want to let you know. But anyways, and then ePro, of course, we teach ePro, electronic professional, and so I do want to let you know there's a lot of designations, certifications to educate yourself better on real estate.
Real quick, with the GRI, in the state of Arizona, we've got this other certification called RSERMS, which is a risk management certification that you can get through the Arizona Association of Realtors. Here's a cool trick. A lot of the RSERMS classes also contribute to the GRI. So if you do it right, if you want to knock out 2 designations in one blow, you can finish off all of the stuff that you can get for RSERMS and the GRI, and you're only going to have 2 classes left to get your RSERMS certification, and you've only got 2 or 3 classes left to get your GRI. So kill 2 birds with one stone and knock out both at one time.
And a lot of them have that as well. So ABR, accredited buyer representation, they're like, hey, on top of submitting a couple of things, did you do at least 5 deals over the last 4 years or something like that? It's going to say you need to take some of these other classes. One of them happens to be ePro. So in other words, if you take the ePro class, that would go towards your ABR designation. And then the only other thing that I want to say about the difference between designations and certifications is...
Yeah, what is the difference?
I know. So, are you ready for this one? The official answer?
Yes.
You won't believe me when I tell you this. They are the exact same thing, but designations, you rent the designation, meaning you need to pay for it annually, and the certification, you pay for it once and you're done forever.
Wait, hold up. Does that mean that...
Yeah.
Does that mean that my NAR membership is a designation because I'm renting my membership on an annual basis?
Oh, I didn't even think about it that way, but I'm not going to call that a designation. I'm going to be saying that you are a member of an organization, actually the largest trade organization in the United States. We're at about 1.4 million right now, gone up to about 1.6. We kind of go up and down there. But the designations that they offer, other than GRI is the only designation that actually comes from your state that you don't need to continually pay on. That's the only one. Other than that, ABR, green, some of these other ones, you do have to pay an annual fee, whereas a certification like ePro, at home with diversity, you pay once and you're done forever. So,
yeah, I would love to knock out the At Home with Diversity and never have to take a fair housing class again.
Not true, but yes, okay.
I know, you get the idea.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying.
The other thing that I want to talk about is going to be the research and the statistics. Actually, you've done a lot on this. Tell me how you actually utilize it.
So the research and statistics, it's actually one of the very first things that you see on the blue top bar on nar.realtor, research and statistics, and under that, there's a whole bunch of different tabs that you can click on. Highlights and news, housing stats, research reports. The research reports are the ones that I use the most commonly. Actually use these a lot in the classes that we teach here at Technology for Real Estate. You can click on that and it brings you to a page where you've got reports on appraisal, the appraisal process report, appraisal survey. They've got commercial reports. One of the cool features that they have in here is the profile of home buyers and sellers, which they do update every single year. Gives you the latest and greatest rundown of who the buyers are, who the sellers are, and when you know who the buyers and sellers are, you know how to go after them appropriately.
To market to them better. Absolutely.
Yes.
You know what? I didn't even think about that. This is a great thing that they do with our dues is they survey a ton of different buyers and sellers, and they tell us they're very, very detailed. Age groups that are buying and selling, first time, second time. I mean, they really get into the nitty gritty. Male, female, gay. I mean, you name it. They put it in there. They don't hold back. They give you the whole caboodle. So go take a look at it. It's called the Buyers and Sellers Guide.
Yes.
And I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, one of my other favorite reports that's in here, actually 2 favorite reports that are really, really helpful. They've got a remodeling impact report that they generate every single year. And basically what that looks at is, you've got somebody who's looking at renovating their home before selling it. It gives you an idea of what you're going to get as far as the return on your investment goes. So like say, for example, did you know, at least according to a previous report, for every dollar you spend on a pool, you should be getting about 65 to 75 cents back for your return on investment. Now, granted, it does contribute to the house in other ways.
Well, of course.
But we're talking about like the dollar for dollar, what you spent on that pool specifically. Right. That's what that says. But they've also got something that's really helpful for you and I, the profile of home staging. What is beneficial to stage inside of a house in this day and age? They've also got data on mortgages and home financing. And for those of you who really want to work with international real estates, or not international real estate agents, but people moving in from international, yes, For the handful of you that live in Cottonwood that know how to speak Russian, you know who you are. There's actual reports on international real estate, like people moving into the U.S. or buying real estate in the United States from other countries. So I would encourage all of you guys to spend some time looking at these reports, even just a short and sweet synopsis of each of these reports, because there's a lot of really good data that you can glean from that.
There is, yeah, definitely. So I'm glad you brought up those pamphlets and those booklets, because even though I utilize it, I forgot myself.
He has totally spaced it.
Yeah, I totally spaced on that one. And then also talk about one more, and that's going to be the social media with our new slogan, and that's who we are.
TWR, yeah.
Yeah, that's who we are. Tell us a little bit about that.
So if you go on the NAR website, not only on their website, but they've also got some apps. Like they've got the Photify app, which we talk about in our social media classes, or at least I do. That is a free app that you can get on your cell phone and generate NAR branded, but also personal branded social media posts that you can post on your Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want to post it at. But the NAR has run some pretty hefty campaigns in the past, which the cool thing is they've given us all the assets from their campaigns that we can download and upload to our social media pages. The downside to this, of course, is that they're branded to the National Association of Realtors and not to the individual agent. But if you're really trying to shove into somebody's face that you're a realtor member, it's a great place to go to get some stuff. So right now they've got, it looks like the Right By You campaign going on. First time I'm hearing about this as I'm actually like sitting here, but they do have like a whole bunch of previous assets from like the TWWR campaign and things like that. And I've just saved these on my computer, and every now and again I pull them out of my back pocket and post them on social media when I need something random to post that I don't mind being branded to the NAR. So if you need ideas on social media content, this is at least a good place to go to think about social media ideas.
100%. And remember, you can use that once again on your own social media campaigns as well, with pictures and memes and stuff like that. By the way, another thing that I forgot to mention that I'm sure you know about is that they also give you talking points, and they have a whole section on there of what buyers need to know and what sellers need to know about the lawsuits and what they need to do to work with you as an agent, and also talking points, once again, what you should be telling them, and things that you shouldn't be saying, right? So don't say, well, hold on, so Mr. Seller, when they ask you, do I need to offer any compensation to a buyer's agent because of this lawsuit? I guess I don't need to do that anymore. So is that going to hurt me?
Yeah.
Okay. Exactly. So don't say that. Don't say, and I know you happen to say that don't say, well, of course it's going to hurt you if you don't. No, don't do that, right? So they have really good talking points.
You got to give them a softer blow,
You got to get a much softer blow than that, right? So they have some really good talking points. Or if you don't even want to talk about it, which I'm going to recommend you do, but to send them to the website so they can read about it before you get there and you talk about it. So I just want to let you know a lot of really good things there.
Yeah, one totally random thing I just wanted to point out real quick. Under the real estate topics, they've got a subcategory which says being a real estate professional, and I glanced over the tab which says being a broker really quickly. And I thought it said being broker. I was like, why in the world would why would the NAR talk about being broker?
Well, you know what they say about brokers, right?
They're the brokerest of everybody?
Yes, that's absolutely right, yes.
Or they're broker than everybody else? Yes.
Which is probably true, right? So.
No, 100%. But yeah, guys, I think that's definitely what I would suggest focusing on if you're looking at the NAR. And by the way, one last thing I will point out as well is that just like your local realtor associations, there is also an NAR store which you can go to order books. You can buy real estate supplies from that website. There's webinars you can buy there, different posters you can get, albeit I don't think I'm going to have an NAR poster hanging up in my home office anytime soon. But there are a lot of really good resources that you and I can get from the National Association of Realtors. And I would just say, again, go and check it out and get to know this stuff for yourself. Because again, just like the Code of Ethics, how can you use it if you've got no idea what it is?
Absolutely right. By the way, how many articles are there in the Code of Ethics?
19?
Oh yeah, is that what it is?
No. No, 17
He's
articles
joking. He's joking.
in the Code
He's
of
joking.
Ethics.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
With that, guys, that's where we're going to have to leave you with the National Association of Realtors. Again, go check out their benefits at nar.realtor. Any closing remarks, Mr. Raskin?
I think that we pretty much hit the major points. Obviously, there's going to be other things that they have on their website, but once again, go check it out because it's good. It's good for you to educate yourself as to what's going on. And remember, a lot of these things you can go ahead and tell your buyers and your sellers to go look at, to read more about what's happening here and some of the talking points that maybe you'll forget about when you're trying to go and seduce a buyer or seller.
Oh gosh, I've never thought of it like that. On that note, guys, we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.